Welcome to English Grammar 1, Unit 34. Should. Number 2. Other uses of should. A. You can use should after a number of verbs, especially demand, insist, propose, recommend, and suggest. After this group of verbs, we can use should. But should is not used like this after them. We use after these verbs that clause, and that clause here includes should. So for example, we have here, they insisted that we should have dinner with them. That we should have dinner with them is here called that clause, and after the verb insisted we use that clause, and in this that clause we use subject plus should. They insisted that we should have dinner with them. Here should is followed by the base form have. Example number 2, I demanded that he should apologize. Here after the verb demanded we have that clause. We can call it noun clause in the position of object. I demanded something. I demanded that he should apologize. And here this clause, it is called that clause, here includes should and plus the base form. So we after demanded we use that clause, and that clause includes should and the base form. So it becomes this way. I demanded that he should apologize. Should is followed by the base form, and should is included in the that clause in the position of object of the verb demanded. So that clause here is in the position of noun clause. Number 3. What do you suggest I should do? And here we know that it means what do you suggest that I should do, and here that is dropped. So we have that clause after suggest, and I should do should plus the base form, and it is a question, what do you suggest I should do, and the question mark. The fourth example, I insist that something should be done about the problem. After the verb insist, we have that clause, that something should be done about the problem, and we have here should plus be the base form followed by done about the problem. So after this group of verbs, demand, insist, propose, recommend, suggest, we use that clause, and that clause includes subject plus should plus the base form. We also say it is important, it is vital, it is necessary, it is essential, that plus should. Here we have adjectives and we use sentences. It is important, it is vital, it is essential, it is necessary. Then we follow the adjectives with that clause, which includes should plus the base form. So for example, we say it is essential that everyone should be here on time. After the adjective essential, we have that clause, that everyone should be here on time, should plus the base form be in the that clause. Part B, you can also leave out should in all the sentences in section A. All the sentences in section A, we can drop should, and it is understood, it is implied. What comes after should is the base form, so we drop should, but the base form remains in its place as a base form. We don't change it into present or past. And this is sometimes called subjunctive mode. Example number 1, it is essential that everyone be here on time, means it is essential that everyone should be here on time, and should is dropped and it is understood. So what remains the base form, and here be is the base form. If we look to everyone is singular. If we want to use a verb in the present, it must be is, but here it is the base form because should is understood, should is hidden, should is dropped, but what remains the base form. Don't change the base form here into present. Example number 2, I demanded that he apologize. If you notice here, apologize is in the base form. After he, if it is in the present, then we use s with apologize. Then it becomes he apologizes. But here, I demanded that he apologize means I demanded that he should apologize. And should is dropped or hidden, understood. We don't need to use it. So we keep the base form in the sentence. That's why apologize remains the same as a base form, because should is hidden, understood. What do you suggest I do? Means what do you suggest I should do? What do you suggest I should do? And here should is dropped and understood, and we have do here in the base form, not in the present. Do here is in the base form because should is hidden and understood. Means what do you suggest that I should do? And here again we have that clause. In all these sentences or examples, we have that clause which include should, but here we drop should and it is understood, it is hidden. Example number 4, I insist that something be done about the problem, means I insist that something should be done about the problem, and here we dropped should, it is understood, and be remained, which is the base form, remained as it is in the sentence. So we say I insist that something be done about the problem, means I insist that something should be done about the problem, and should is hidden, so be remains the same as it is in the base form. This form be, do, have, apologize, where we drop should, where we hide should, is sometimes called the subjunctive mood. It is the same as the infinitive without to. It is similar to the infinitive without to. It is similar to the infinitive without to. You can also use normal present and past tenses. In the that clause, we can also use present and past. That is a different rule from the previous one. In the previous one, we have should plus the base form, or we have the base form and should is hidden, and which is called subjunctive mode. Now we have another two rules where we can use, after these adjectives or verbs, we can use that clause, but the verb included in the that clause is in the present simple or in the past simple. So we say it is essential that everyone is here on time. This is a different rule. Here we use, in the that clause, we use is in the present simple. Everyone is singular, so we use is here. I demanded that he apologized. Here we use in the that clause we use past simple. That he apologized. We used here past simple. These are two different rules from the previous one in A and from the above mentioned rules. After suggest, you can't use to. The verb suggest mainly followed by that clause, or sometimes we use gerund verb plus ing after it, but we don't use to after suggest. We don't use to after suggest. So we say, what do you suggest we should do? Here, this is the first what we have already taken in the first part in this unit. What do you suggest we should do means that we should do. And here we can also say, what do you suggest we do? And here we use the base form and should is dropped. But we don't say, what do you suggest us to do? So this is incorrect to say, what do you suggest us to do? We don't use to plus the base after suggest. It is incorrect, but we can use verb plus ing. Example number 2, Jane suggested that I should buy a car, or Jane suggested that I buy a car. Either we use should followed by the base form, or we use the base form and should is hidden. Both are correct, and we have here that clause after suggest. And Jane suggested that I bought a car. Here we use past simple after suggest. It is also correct, another rule. But we don't say Jane suggested me to buy. We don't use to plus the base form after suggest. It is incorrect. So we don't say Jane suggested me to buy. It is incorrect. You can also use ing after suggest. What do you suggest doing? So we use that clause after suggest, that clause which includes should plus the base form. Sometimes that clause includes base form and should is hidden or dropped. And sometimes we have that clause after suggest followed by past simple, and sometimes followed by present simple, but not to plus the base. And sometimes we can use a verb plus ing after suggest, but we can't use to plus the base form after suggest. To plus the base form is not allowed after suggest, after the verb suggest. Part C, you can use should after a number of adjectives especially. Here we have a number of adjectives where we can use should after them. For example, we have strange, odd, funny, typical, natural, interesting, surprised, and surprising. All these adjectives can be followed by should. For example, it is strange that he should be late. Here we have it is strange, and strange is followed by that clause that he should be late, and here we use that clause where we use should plus the base form, should be late. He is usually on time. He is usually on time. I was surprised that he should say such a thing. I was surprised that he should say such a thing. I was surprised that he should say such a thing. Here we have surprised adjective followed by that clause that he should say something, And here that clause includes the verb should plus the base form. Should plus the base form. Let's move to part D. If plus should. We can use should with if. In the if clause, we know that we have sentences, complex sentences where we use if plus verb, and on the other part we have will plus the base form or any other form depending on the verb in the if clause. We call it the conditional if. And here this kind of sentence is a complex sentence where we have subordinate clause starts with the subordinator if and main clause on the other part, and both together join together to form a complex sentence. Here the rule says we can replace the present simple in the if clause by should plus the base form, but there is some difference in meaning. The difference in meaning is that the should plus the base form here in the if clause indicates that the possibility is less. The possibility of the action to happen is less. For example, if Tom should phone while I am out, tell him I'll call him back later. Here this part means if Tom should phone is similar to if Tom phones, and here if Tom phones in the present. With should, the speaker feels that the possibility is smaller. So when you use if plus should in the subordinate clause, that means the possibility is smaller than using if plus present simple. For another example here, we have no jobs at present, but if the situation should change, we will let you know. And here, if the situation should change, the possibility is less here. If the possibility is more than that, then the person says, if the situation it changes. So when we use should plus the base form in the if clause, that means the possibility is less that the action happens. You can also begin these sentences with should something happen. For example, if Tom should phone, we can remove if and put should in the position of if, and it becomes should Tom phone. And it becomes should Tom phone, tell him I'll call him back later. So such kind of sentences can be changed and start with should. We can put should in the position of if and continue the sentence. So it becomes this way: should Tom phone, tell him I'll call him back later. Part E. You can use I should, I shouldn't to give somebody advice. For example, here we know that should is used to express advice, but here the advice is indirect advice. You direct your words to yourself, but you mean the other person here. Here we have, for example, one person says, shall I leave out? The other person says, no, I should wait a bit here. I should wait a bit here. The other person means himself or directs words to the other person, directs words to the first speaker who says, shall I leave now? But he speaks to himself here. The other person says, no, I should wait here, a bit longer, means no, you should wait a bit longer. It means you should wait a bit longer. But he directs words to himself or to herself in order to let the other person understand that they are directed to him or to her. So the sentence no, I should wait a bit here doesn't mean the same person, but means the first speaker who says, shall I leave now? And means no, I should wait a bit longer means you should wait a bit longer. Here, I should wait means I would wait if I were you. I advise you to wait means if I were in your position. No, I should wait a bit longer means if I were you, I would or I should wait a bit longer. Two more examples. I am going out now. Is it cold? The other person says, yes, I should wear a coat. If I were you, I should wear a coat. I would wear a coat. Means you should wear a coat. I shouldn't stay up too late. One person says, I shouldn't stay up too late. You will be tired tomorrow. Means here the speaker says to the other person, you shouldn't stay up too late. You will be tired tomorrow. But he used I instead of you to make the other person understand as if he is speaking to himself or herself. Means if I were you, I wouldn't or I shouldn't stay up too late. That's all. Thank you.